What's up and welcome back. I'm Josh Stark, MacMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and we're back. Season 1, Episode 5 of Skeleton Crew, which is the closest thing to a Treasure Planet live-action adaptation we are ever going to get. Um, and it's an interesting episode because you get to see a little bit of a softer side of uh, Job. Is it Jod? Is it Jod? The D or a B? I can't really understand his name. Anyway, sometimes it sounds like they're saying John, but I think it's Jod with a D. Um, and he has some lighter moments, uh, and a little bit nicer with the kids. And they reawaken the robot. Their droid is reawakened, and they fixed him so that he won't be in kill mode. And it works out. I mean, he's not. And then he kind of apologizes. He's like, those were the old captain's orders. All right. Um, so he's back to respecting Fern again, which is really important. Um, and they go to this planet where they think they can get more information, where they think the treasure might be. After being able to question the droid, they've learned about this planet, and Jod is familiar with the pirate who originally captained the ship, and the legend of this little underground lair of his that now is like there's a resort, and so they have to sneak through this like day spa, for lack of a better term, but it's like a day spa, um, to get to this area, which they do eventually, even though the droid is hilariously binded, and Jaw definitely can use the Force. Like, that is absolutely a thing, because he makes objects float and he makes objects fly into his hands. Like, he has a knife that he has to give up because it's like a peaceful day spa, and he does like a Yondu thing. Almost, it felt like very Yondu-ish, even though Yondu whistles. But yeah, he makes that knife fly right back into his hand when nobody's looking, um, using obviously the Force. So, he, how he got the Force, I think, will be an interesting story at some point. Even though I dislike the fact that this is in the Star Wars universe, but that's probably the one thing about it that I like, because I think this works more as like Space Goonies. It's very reminiscent. It's leaning heavily into Treasure Island, which is why I mentioned the Treasure Planet thing, is because I picked up on a lot of Treasure Island references that they've had. And what's funny is in the story, and I was thinking that too, and it was when he said it, I thought it was funny because I thought the kids were going. I was like, oh man, the parents are gonna have to explain to their kids. And the exact thing is, and I love that the script is so self-aware. So the droid was explaining the story, and he used the term concubine, and I was like, oh great, now parents are gonna have to explain to their kids what a concubine is. And it's funny that they actually had one of the kids ask, what is a concubine? And Jod is like, that's the end of story time. Like, he doesn't want to explain it. And I was like, I feel like that's so many parents right now who are like, thanks, Skeleton Crew. I don't want to have to explain this to my kid anymore. But yeah, the kids end up in this lair. They're looking around, trying to figure out what's so they can get out of there, get the get the rest of the information to get on out and get out of there. And what ends up happening, there are a couple things. There's a lightsaber that's in the among the treasure, among this pirate's treasure. There's a lightsaber, which hilariously is used in the best way for this show. I loved it because I thought we were gonna have like an epic moment. I love that John's like, careful, you don't know what you're dealing with there. And so he's a little kid, and obviously lightsabers are, the light goes pretty high. So when he flips it on, it's upside down. So it like rockets out of his hand because the light hits the ground. And I was like, That's hilarious. So, good choice, because I don't think we've ever seen that. I think in all of the Star Wars product we've ever had, I don't think we've ever seen somebody who accidentally has lit up their lightsaber in the wrong direction. And, I I appreciate that, for the as much as I don't want the Star Wars content to be here, it's like, that was a good use of Star Wars content. Um, but the reason why I said it mattered that Fern was captain is that John does this thing where once he has kind of what he needs, he takes Fern and he takes his knife and he basically threatens Fern with it and has her sort of at knife point, like he'll kill her. And he says, she has to yield. She has to actually say it. He's like, it's important that you actually say you yield. And he keeps pushing her to say it. And like where he's gonna do something bad. So eventually she gives up and she yields. And when she does, it means that Jod is now the captain. So now the droid is following his orders. And Jod immediately has the droid and orders him to capture the kids and throw them, like keep them as prisoners or whatever. And I guess to return to the ship or whatever. But the kids they dip, and they dip in the weirdest way possible. Earlier they found this like trap door that one of them almost fell into, but they didn't. And then they're like, well, let's use the trap door. And I was like, you don't know where that trap door goes. I mean, I don't think Skeleton Crew just hilariously killed off 4 kids, because that would be a strong choice. But you don't know that the trap you don't know that the trap door leads you to any place you ever be able to get out of. Lava, spikes, fire, that it's not like the kind of drop where you fall and break your legs. Like, I mean, there's so much about that it's such a dumb choice. So, I like the episode. It kind of just ends there, and we cut. There was also Jod ran into this woman that he had obviously had something to do with before, and he gave her a different name. And she's like, you know what? You were here before, and then I asked people around, and nobody had ever heard of this fake name that you gave me. Funny, not weird. And John's like, huh, that's interesting. Good to know. So I don't know if that character's ever gonna rear her head again, but we'll see. We got another episode coming. But I like the episode. I was like, that's such a weird like dip at the last minute there. Like, that's your way out, is through the hole to nowhere. Like, you don't even know where that hole's going. I was like, if I was in that situation with the droid, I definitely wouldn't jump down the trap door. Like, come on now. Like, where do you think the trap door is headed? To death? Like, I don't know. Anyway, could be worse than being captured. You know what I'm saying? Like, could have been a lot worse. But because it's not like the droid was ordered to kill them. I mean, in that case, sure, I'd take that. I'd be like, well, I'm either going to be limb from limb or trapdoor. I guess we'll find out. Trapdoor. So, but no, he was just going to capture them. Anyway. Yeah, that's it. Skeleton Crew. We'll be back next week. I thought this episode was pretty good. I'm going to give it an A-. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll see you guys on the other side.